Hello everyone, this is Dr. Kundlas and I'm a primary care physician in Central Florida for the last 25 years. Thank you very much for joining. This is very important topic and very relevant because about 70% of us are overweight or obese. The overall success rate is not more than 5% long term, and it is the root cause part of chronic medical problems. We must understand certain basics. These basics include what is food, what are the groups of food. If we could build a background on the basic underlying chemical, physical, biological, and emotional and psychological process that, then we will be able to understand all the fad diets, all prevalent, but they do not translate into community on long-term basis. We all are made different, we eat different, our socioeconomic status is different, the availability of food culturally, we all are different, and how we cope up with our anxiety, stress process. Food is not just a food. Food is our friend, food is our crutch, food is our everything. And this is one player which we could have rest of our life till our last day. Sole purpose of food is, number one, to provide energy for this bodily machine to work, carry out all the process. Body is magical. You and me today, whatever all the cells we are made up of, which is about 86 trillion, in 7 years from now, none of the cells which make us ourselves will be in our body, is all will be replaced. So it is a beautiful mechanism which goes on all the time. Truth is, we don't eat just to meet our energy needs and also our growth needs. Food is a lot more bigger and a lot more important to us. What is food? Food basically is made up of 7 components. First is carbohydrates, which is the sole preferred fuel for our body, both brain, muscle, liver, any organ. It can use ketone bodies, but preferred is our carbohydrates. Second is proteins, which is the building block. You, me, everything is protein. Your skin, your heart, your brain, everything is made up of protein. Third, the fats. Fats provide a lot of substrate for everything which happens in the body. Vitamins and minerals are the essential chemistry, the biggest chemistry lab which we live in. Just to highlight the cell, we are made up for 86 trillion cells, and each cell has about 10,000 chemical reactions per minute, and each reaction happens perfect. So this is the vastness of this machine. So that's why vitamins and minerals become very important. Next content is water. 80% of it is water. So if you are not drinking enough water, you will have problems. And the last, but the hero of today's discussion, is fiber. Fiber is an insoluble or indigestible carbohydrate. Once we consume, it stays in the body the way it is. It's passed from stomach to our intestine and eventually to the colon, where it reaches our gut bacteria or gut microbiome. And this gut microbiome, it contributes to digestion of food, in immune food, management of our appetite, hunger and steady signal. We eat to meet our energy needs and to provide the raw material so that our chemical factory keeps on going properly. Plus, we providing the building block for the body. How we are supposed to normally eat? Or technically, we should eat only when we are hungry, and when needs are met, we should get satiety signals in the body, we should stop eating. So there should be a perfect balance between our hunger and satiety signals. We don't listen to our body. We eat when we are not hungry, and when our body tells us that food is enough, we do not stop eating. If we follow our signals about hunger and satiety, we call as homeostatic eating. Any other reason you eat, that you're not hungry and you're not listening to your body, continue to eat. That is not homeostatic eating, that is abnormal eating. Your body start producing it's called granule that's produced in the stomach, and it leads to contraction of the stomachs. We are very aware of those contractions. Those contractions send a stimulus to our hypothalamus, where it is interpreted as a hunger, prepares us physically, psychologically, emotionally to start. Food gets into your stomach. The only eventually your body knows initially you are satisfied and you shouldn't eat is the distension of your stomach. If you eat food which is not leading to distension of your stomach, you will have very difficult time starting the stimulus for going from your stomach to your hypothalamus, that there is a food in your stomach and you should not continue with the hunger. You must consume food which is low in calorie and high in, because that is the only way. When the stomach distends, it sends signals to hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus sends the signals back that the food requirement is met. So gastric distension, very, very important. Stomach gets passed into your small intestine where we absorb all the nutrients. Your fats will be broken down, fatty acids and glycerols. Your carbohydrates will be broken down into glucose. Your proteins will be converted into amino acids. Your fiber will belong, and water will be absorbed, and vitamin and minerals will be absorbed, which is glucose, fatty acids, glycerols, amino acids. They get absorbed in the circulation. Our intestine produces hormone as cholecystokinin, peptide YY, and insulin. They go to your hypothalamus, and we have enough nutrition and we have enough raw material in the body, and it sends a signal that you are satisfied. If you don't follow this process of feeling hungry and then satiety, you will be eating out of proportion than what your bodily needs are. For example, we start overeating when we are angry, we are nervous, any good news or bad news. In every culture, we have added a lot of rituals and processes which are linked towards emotional reward system. We are with friends, we'll eat. We are feeling down, ice cream will give you pickup, because sugar in them will lead to dopamine release and you will feel better. Who can miss or who can stop your mom's apple pie or any favorite dish which your mom made? That's the palatability of the food. Certain foods we eat regardless of calorie count because they are tasty. Cognitively, you know how we all start craving for food. I want to eat this, I want to eat that. So we create and test our willpower and decision making. So non-homeostatic eating will be when we eat emotionally, when we are in company of friends, we are down and we want some reward, or for the taste of it. All these overeating patterns lead to an unhealthy cycle. This unhealthy cycle is we ignore our hunger signals, we ignore our satiety signals, and we eat a lot of food. Then we become bloated, tired, and we are guilty. and then we start negotiating with ourselves, I will skip next meal. And that never happens. And this perpetual circle where we are eating unconsciously without even enjoying the food, having a feeling of guilt and shame, and then not feeling good in our body. Evolutionarily, our hunter-gatherer parents were spending 8 to 10 hours every day to hunt for on an average 2,500 calories of food. It was seasonal. They ate multiple things which came on their way, whether it was fruits, berries, seeds, grain. And once they got enough calories, they rested, slept, or probably culturally enjoyed whatever at that time which was prevalent among them. Modern man is also trying to do the same thing. Just imagine, evolutionarily, our forefathers, if they got something sweet, they overate. If they found something fatty, they knew the food next meal may not be there, they ate. If they got salty, they ate. Because they were eating this kind of food, we evolutionarily developed a bias towards eating anything sweet, anything umami, which is meat, anything salty, and anything fattening. In modern science and modern all the literature, we call it crab foods. Truth is, our forefathers are eating crab food, which was rich in sugar, fat, grain, meat. But unfortunately, modern man is eating a lot of, because we do not have to hunt and gather. Every corner has a fast food joint and we could get a lot of food. Quality of food, what our forefathers were eating and what we are eating is not much different. They were psychologically the same what we are today. One good thing has happened now, the food is in abundance, and that's where it's getting. So they were eating crab, we are eating crab, but we are eating too much of crab. The caloric difference between our forefathers and ours is 500. They were consuming on an average 2,500 calories in 24 hours. We are consuming a rough 3,000 calories. Biologically, hypothalamus is the center which starts hunger signals and satiety signals, which is that starts the hunger pains. Once stomach is distended and then the nutrients are absorbed from the intestine, they go to the fat tissue and the liver and muscles. They go to the fat tissue. Hormones produce another we call leptin and adiponectin. How to interpret these signals of satiety, but metabolically we eat to keep this machinery running. Then genetically have a predisposition of one kind or another kind of food preferences and also our body size. Males tend to accumulate weight primarily around their belly, and those we call it android or apple-like obesity. Ladies primarily accumulate weight around their buttocks and hips and thighs. That's a gynecoid obesity. But once they lose their periods and they're postmenopausal and they start lacking estrogen, then they also start accumulating a lot of fat around their belly. So hormonally, insulin, leptin, cortisol, dopamine, serotonin, they all are involved in hunger and satiety signals. Intestine, granule, CCK, peptide YY, and GLP, all those Manjaro, Trulicity, Wegovy, all these medications, they act on GLP. So if we now try to understand how we could hack this system, which is the main theme of this part, we need to understand what are the key players or weight management. Talk about the food. How much is the volume of food? Second, what is the nutritional density? Nutritional density is a concept. If you consume, say, for example, 100 grams of some food, how much vitamin, minerals, fibers, which we processed food is any food is eat different from its natural state. Now the question comes in how much we are processing. Say for example, if we wheat, we mill it, we crush it, and we make a flour out of it. That's also processing. But if you remove fiber out of it, this is ultra processing. The foods which we get from supermarket, they have almost zero, and the fiber which makes any food processed versus unprocessed. So first actor is food. Second, and this gut microbiome. Third is your liver. Let's take the journey now. Food gets absorbed into simpler products, which is glucose, fatty acids, amino acid, vitamin, minerals. They get absorbed into your intestine, continue on your journey down in your gut. All this blood goes to your liver. So liver is the first organ which encounters your nutrition. Liver does a couple of things. First, liver is an organ where we convert your carbohydrates or glucose into glycogen. This is a storage house in the liver. This storage house is your reservoir. In between meals, when we are not eating, we are breaking this glycogen back into glucose. So that is the first. From this, body makes glycogen. Then from the circulation, it goes to all the muscles, organ system, each cell of the body. Under the influence of insulin, it's pushed into the cells, whether it's a muscle cell, liver cell, brain cell, any cell, you need insulin. Insulin is like a key to the gate to the cell. If you don't have insulin, you do not open the gate. Insulin is the key for the gate which allows these nutrients to get into the cell. So that's why insulin is very, very important hormone. From there, it gets into the cell and it gets burned. So liver is the first site. Now, if we are eating too much food, excessive calories, and our needs are met, then body has developed another mechanism where this extra nutrients or calories which are circulating in our blood, they get stored under the effect of insulin again into fat. See, insulin is doing two things. Number one, it is pushing your nutrients or calories into the cell to burn it. But if it's too much and gate is closed, then it pushes into fat cells or adipose tissue, and that is what makes us fat. Trying to put the theme together, we need to work on our actually the nutritional density. Next, second actor, we talked about the liver. Third is the muscles. Fourth is the fat, and then the heart. And the worst kind of calories are liquid calories, because you are drinking sugar water, which has no vitamins, minerals, protein, fats, fiber, does not distend your abdomen, so you never know how much you drink. You could drink 2 liters over the period of 3 hours, and you will never get any hunger signals or satiety signals. And then when they're going into your gut, directly get absorbed, and they keep on bombarding system is the processed foods, donuts, cakes, cookies, white bread, any which can be quickly broken down into its individual parts and get absorbed and into our circulation. Our liver has a limited capacity to make glycogen. Our cells have a limited capacity to burn. Rest is all being stored as. So every time you're drinking, more and more insulin is being produced, to the point your pancreas is for working over 4 hours. All these cells which are being bombarded by insulin to take more of these calories, those receptors become resistant to the action. Chemically, those receptors get downregulated, have so much of insulin it is not opening the lock, or sugars are not getting into your cells to burn. It's pushing into your fat storage, making you fatter and fatter. But is when those locks stop responding to your insulin, that is called insulin resistance. You are full of energy, but your cells can't use it. That's why at that time, you start developing a lot of symptoms. You become tired, you start gaining weight, you are hungry all the time, you're peeing all the time, and you develop a lot of skin changes. Skins, especially in the folds, in the around the neck, under armpit, seen getting thick and blackish. And we call xanthoma nigricans. Then your brain cannot function properly because you are full of energy, but you can't use it. All these things lead to eventually diabetes. What is diabetes? Your pancreas keep on producing insulin, but your cells stop responding and nothing is getting into your cells and you develop diabetes. Is not a simple disease. There is not a organ system which does not get or affected by diabetes. With diabetes, you are at high risk to develop heart attack, stroke, death, multiple infections, joint pains, chronic inflammations. Name anything bad that will happen. How would you know that you have insulin resistance? We don't need anything. The simpler rule of thumb is any male who has waist size more than 38 or a female waist size more than 35 or your body mass index more than 30, you are insulin resistant. There are a lot of laboratory tests which we could do, but there is no reason to do this test. We know what we are doing. Just look at your rate and understand these evidences, and you will find that there is a very clear evidence that you have it. But the beautiful part is you can correct how we reduce insulin. Any kind of hack basically will involve one way or the other insulin. We need to do everything to decrease insulin. When the insulin levels go down with proper diet, then those locks start reacting to lower levels of insulin and they open the gate and we start using this carbohydrate. Simplest way, you want to know how much you should eat, take your weight in pounds, multiply. So if you are 200 pounds, multiply by 10, your daily requirement is to 2000 calories. You create a deficit of 500, which either through exercise or through diet will be 1500 and you will start losing weight. But I want you to understand the concept of basal metabolic rate. Total caloric need about is weight in pounds multiplied by. But have you wondered how body allocates these things? Just to live, you have to breathe, you have to think, your heart is pumping, digestion is going on. There are millions of reactions which are happening in your body. All of them need energy. To power is called your basal metabolic rate. And basal metabolic rate consumes about 60 to 75% of your total. In addition to the chemical reactions which are happening in the body, you get up, you do minimal, even if you are very limited, you still have to get up, feed yourself, you do the daily ablutions, going to bathroom, doing just activities of daily living that we call need. Those are the activities you have to do just to live on. Number one, there is a concept which we call, if you are eating a donut versus you are eating a whole grain sandwich, presuming the carbohydrate load in both of them are same. Donut is a simple carbohydrate which gets in from your stomach to your intestine, quickly broken down into sugar and gets absorbed, and all the process happens. But if you're eating whole wheat, your body has to break this complex carbohydrate into simple, and it spends energy. Or depending on what kind of food we eat, this part of energy expenditure can range from 5 to 15%. But just imagine 15%. You're eating or consuming the same 2000 calories, but by the fact the kind of choices we make, that will take just 15% of the calories. If you exercise, Usually you could exercise or 10 to 15% of your total calories. So concept is total caloric needs. They basically fall into 4 buckets. One is just to run this machine we call basal metabolic rate. Then activities of daily living to maintain ourselves, which is NEAT. Then exercise. And then what kind of foods which we eat and to extract calories out of that, the energy which we need to spend, that is TE. Once you start body lowers your BMR, because body's evolutionarily designed to preserve. There is not a bigger instinct than to preserve yourself. So body has a set point. Starving is not going to work. The message here is starving is not a very good way to lose weight. You will develop malnutrition, and your body is very smart. It has a set point. Moment you're starving, take you below certain set point, it adjusts all the hormones, chemicals, and it lowers. Remember, age is magical. As we go through circle of life, our muscle mass decrease. That leads to decrease in BMR. So if we ever want to increase our BMR, there are 2 important habits. Number 1 is strength training or weight training, and second is high protein diet. These both of them are tested in multiple studies and is proven over and over that we can speed up the basal metabolic rate. Balance also provides us with adequate amount of fat, proteins, vitamin, mineral, and fiber. Number 1 attribute is glycemic. We need to understand glycemic load and glycemic index. If you consume foods which have a low glycemic index, meaning the speed at which your glucose level goes up is low. Next is the satiety index. Believe me or not, among all foods, fruits, vegetable, meats, bread, donut, boiled potato has the highest satiety index. If you consume this food, how much vitamin, mineral, fiber it has. We have heard a lot of discussion in the past that simple carbohydrates leads to inflammation. That is a true statement. The way chemically is broken down and the way it's processed leads different degrees of inflammation. Now each food is categorized based on how much inflammation it causes in your body. Your fruits and vegetables and complex carbohydrates, they all are low or no inflammation. So when we talk about balanced food, we are not talking about calories. We are talking about how much vitamin and minerals, how much fiber, glycemic index, glucose load, how much inflammation it causes, and how much nutritional density it has. And all this information is publicly available. You just have to look for it. Now comes the most important part of this discussion is our hacks. The first guys is hunger and satiety hack. Physiologically, we should eat when our energy balance is low. We should stop when our stomach is distended, is telling us I am full, and then we should listen to the signals coming from your brain. Many times ghrelin, which is the one hormone which gives you cramps, it starts acting when the stomach is empty. Time your hunger signals may not be true. If you are hungry, are you truly hungry, or it's emotional reaction? Drinking water, and especially cold water. Water, your body has to heat it up, and that takes even the calorie. So hunger, if you are hungry, just create a pause and think, are you hungry? If you're hungry, eat, but drink water, wait for 20 minutes, and you will find you could fight your hunger. Second hack is listening to our satiety signals. If you make a choice of eating a food which is high in calorie and low in volume, you are doomed to consume too many calories. So the hack to get satisfied less number of calories is eat high volume foods. Consume something worth 100 calories. It could be a medium sized apple, pear, or small size of salad. You're providing volume, giving your body time so that it can process and send the signals. It takes 20 minutes to signals to come back that you are satisfied. Distension plus 20 minutes. So that is the rule. Next is the hormonal hacks. We take hormone which give you stomach cramp. Make sure that are you really hungry? Drink cold water, wait for 15 to 20 minutes, and then if you're hungry, eat. Second hormone is leptin. Leptin is the hormone which gets released from your fat. It takes about 20 minutes. So you have to eat slow. See what we do. When we are eating, we gulp food. We are not giving these hormones to get properly secreted and tell our body. But by that time, we have overconsumed. Only way we could fight these two hormones, drink first water and ensure you are really hungry. Second, for leptin to work and give you steady signals, you need to give it a time. There is no other alternative. Next hormone is insulin. Insulin is a two-way street. If you consume simple carbohydrate, your pancreas will flood your blood with insulin. That will lower your sugar quickly and you will become more hungrier. That's why when we eat simple carbohydrate snacks, we are hungry all the time because your insulin is spiking, bringing sugar down, you're hungry again. And this cycle goes up, your body becomes insulin resistant, and then insulin starts pushing these extra calories into fat. Third is cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone. We need to manage our stress. If we do not manage our stress properly, we will have problem. So there are 4 hormones primarily involved with your weight and your hunger and satiety signal are granule, leptin, insulin, and cortisol. Next is biological hacks. That's where your basal metabolic rate comes in. We talked about 2 things. We have come to conclusion that basal metabolic rate or total number of calories we consume, they depend on your basal metabolic rate, which is your machinery or this body to run, plus activities which you have to do to bare minimum to maintain yourself, plus your energy which your body has to spend to extract calories out of your food. And then the last one was exercise. Build muscles, because your muscles are 15% more effective in increasing your basal metabolic rate. So if you are exercising, you have to do resistance training. Second, high protein diet. And these complex foods require a lot of energy from your body to extract calories. That's where choices of the food makes a difference. So metabolically, 3 things you could do: resistance exercises, high protein diet, and complex foods. Next is genetic hacks. Genes are blueprint, but we are not doomed to manifest it. In identical twin studies, they have found over and over that you may have same genes, but you're not doomed to be fat or obese. Genes are just a blueprint. If you don't read it and you develop proper lifestyle where you are implementing everything which we have been talking about, you could beat your genes. You will have tendency to gain weight if you are not cognizant, but if you pay attention, you could genetically hack it up. Next is biological hacks. Biological hacks depend on your gut microbiome. This is an organ itself. What is gut microbiome? In your gut, you have trillions and trillions of bacteria which live there. These bacteria are not there just to be there. nature had a meaning and purpose. When the food is traveling from small intestine to large intestine, these bacteria survive only on fiber. If you did not consume fiber, the species of this gut microbiome will be different. The species which will be existing when you are eating complex carbohydrate full of, if you consume simple carbohydrates, what is reaching in the colon is not fiber, but all the chemicals which are killing the good bacteria. So why these bacteria are very important? Number one, they help in digestion of food. They are very important for the integrity of the inner lining of your gut. They are very important in controlling a lot of chemical reactions, and they produce short-chain fatty acids. These short-chain fatty acids go to your hypothalamus, and then they send back the signal that you are satisfied. If you have eaten a food which is high in fiber, you will not be hungry long down the pathway, because by the time food reach colon, it's already 7-8 hours since your last meal, and your bugs are utilizing them, producing short-chain fatty acids which are going to your brain and sending the impulse down that you are satisfied, you don't need to eat, and your hunger is going down. These bugs are important for integrity of the gut, immune system. They also produce a lot of neurotransmitters and hormones which mimic. So they control your mood, they control your gut microbiome is very important. You might have heard 3 prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics. Prebiotics is the one which your gut microbiome. The fiber you consume in your diet is prebiotic fiber. That gut microbiome is called probiotic. See, when we eat kefir, yogurt, and pickle, and lot of fermented foods, like what we're doing is, in this fermentation process, those bugs, colonies are growing into those foods. When we consume them, then we are replacing those bugs into our gut microbiome. So healthy kind of gut microbiome is growing in your gut, which give you all the benefits. Right? Postbiotic is all the chemical things which they produce. We touched upon short-chain fatty acids, which are involved in hunger and satiety, then neurotransmitters, chemicals, then remaining debris of these, and giving our immune system immuno. Prebiotic is fiber which we eat in complex carbohydrates. Probiotic is the bugs itself, and postbiotic is what they reward us with. Next category is a dietary hack. If we have to consume carbohydrate, and we should, then we should eat fruits, vegetables, legumes. I don't believe we should mix legumes and grains in one meal. Either we consume legumes or we should consume grains. Because once we consume both of them in a particular meal, then we increase load of carbohydrate. High fiber diet is the one which I am trying to create awareness and want to do that. High fiber diet for a male should have about 35 grams of fiber, and for a female about 28. So let's design a 35 gram fiber diet. Each fruit, rule of thumb, has about 3 grams of fiber. 1 cup of cooked lentil is about 12 grams of fiber. Meats have no fiber. All the processed food has no fiber. And then grains, 4 to 5 per serving. So if you have one piece of bread, it has about 3 to 4 grams of fiber. So if you go by each fruit, about 3 to 4 grams, so you should consume 3 to 4 fruits per day. Best and quickest way to get high protein and high fiber is legumes, especially red beans, kidney beans, lima beans. There was a study where made everybody eat 2 servings of beans. They all lost. So fiber is very important. That very, very important. Drink enough water. You are 80% water, and you should not ignore it. If you keep yourself hydrated, you will your systems will work properly. You will not have a mental fog, and you will improve. Next is lifestyle hacks. Working, we sleep. If we don't have a schedule, if we don't eat, our cortisol level goes up, which makes us hungry. That's why we start circling our refrigerator and pantry at night. Make sure you sleep at proper time and wake up at proper time, and get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day. As Americans, we believe we don't need to sleep, but that's where our fallacy lies. We are very productive, but I don't believe we are supernatural. We are natural beings. We need to sleep. Exercise for weight loss. Yes, aerobic exercise has all the benefits, but to speed up your metabolism, ensure that you do weight training. Stress management. What is stress? Stress is a flood of chemistry, epinephrine, norepinephrine, steroids. All these things are circulating in your blood, and you have a poisonous chemistry. Mindfulness, accepting the life the way it is, or what is curveball it throws, we had to accept and move on. Prevent the preventables and do what is in your capacity. That's where the serenity prayer. Meal preparation is very important. If you have all the knowledge in the world, if you did not meal prep, you will fail. When we all come from work, we are tired, our willpower is non-existent. We'll give in to ordering food or eating what is available. Meal prep only. Don't rely on your willpower. Then environmental clues. If you have donut sitting there, chips sitting there, versus apple sitting there, chances are you will go for first two rather than apple. Clean your environment, because once we have depleted our willpower, at least if we are going to indulge on healthy snacks. Very, very important. So you must learn to clean your environment. Next category is food attribute hacks. Find out the foods which are low in glycemic index, gives very low load of carbohydrates, produce very little inflammation, produce very little insulin, and you'll be surprised to know those are your fruits, non-starchy vegetables, lentils, and whole grains. They have all the attributes of a good food go up. All these fad diets have convinced all of us that we should consume only one kind of macronutrient and we should not eat other kind of macronutrient. I think that is a fallacy. I hope this session was helpful in educating each other on what is hunger, why we should eat, what is food, what are the attributes of the food, both physical, psychological, emotional, environmental hacks. I will see you in next podcast next week. Please subscribe to our channel and do not forget to like, share. Thank you very much for your attention. I will see you in next video.